Hey guys, we are back, and we are back in our rewatch. We're jumping into.
I'm like, wait.
Yes, we're jumping into episodes 5 and 6 of season 2 of The Samaritan Pretty. I'm Anya.
I'm Isabella.
And these two episodes are just a roller coaster.
There's so much that goes on.
Yeah, we literally watched this
morning,
and it was just too much. We were like taking notes, and we were like, oh my gosh, didn't realize how much this was. But it is a lot because season 2 is just so much more serious than the last season, and like everything that happens is just important. So
yeah, like at every corner, at every turn,
yeah,
something important happens.
So episode 5 is Jeremiah's point of view episode. So a lot to go over.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was a good episode, but
it's a good episode. Does it make us annoyed at some points? Yes.
But we also get a lot of insight, so it's good.
Yeah,
I like it.
That is true.
And I like what happens.
So
most of the time.
Yeah.
No, some of the time. Actually, no, I only like 2 things that happen.
Yeah. So we get a lot of flashbacks this episode because we're getting Jeremiah's point of view of the whole situation. But this episode starts off with, we ended the last episode with everything in the house being gone. Mm-hmm. So the whole crew is like, what the heck is going on? Obviously, Conrad and Jeremiah are going through it. Like everything that it was their mom's is gone. And it's just really sad.
It's just like horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And yeah, no. Throughout these episodes, Aunt Julia, girl, I will fight you. I don't care. I don't care about your trauma. I really don't. You are.
She is a problem.
And so, yeah. Conrad's obviously pissed because Aunt Julia walks in and she's like, I'm so sorry, like, you had to see it like this, blah, blah, blah. Girl, no, absolutely not. Like, I don't have anything good to say about you. Sorry. And so Conrad is in a bad mood, as he should be, because not only did they lose their mom like less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, like
now they're having to deal with this, and in this way, like. And I think he feels responsible for it too. So yeah, it's kind of like him trying to.
Yeah, he opens up about how he was like, I shouldn't have gone. Like, it's my fault. Blah,
yeah.
Blah.
Well, this was later in the episode. But in this part, yeah. Yes. In this part, we get to start listening to Jeremiah's like internal dialogue. And he says, I used to look up to Conrad when I was little. Like, he was always this, and that. And he's like, but now I don't really know how I feel about looking up to him and how I feel about Conrad and how he deals with things. So that is already something very interesting to say to start his dialogue. Do you have any thoughts?
No, not really.
So then after this, they were like, okay, well, we need a place to stay. So then they end up arriving to the country club, which is very random.
So random, like.
Also, why doesn't a country club full of rich people not have a security
they were like,
guard?
There's no night guard. I'm like, at a country club, there's no night guard.
Yeah.
Unrealistic.
So anyway, and then there's also this like part when they get to the country club where they can't get in, and then Sky is just being like funny, but I'm like, girl, read the room.
Not the time.
No. These kids, no. Just no. Let's not do that. But anyway, after this, we get a little conversation between Belly and Conrad because she's checking on him. Once they're inside of the country club. And she's just kind of like checking in on him, like, hey, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And he admits, like, I never should have gone to the boardwalk. Like, this is all my, not necessarily all my fault. But he just is holding himself accountable, which it's not really something he could have controlled, but I guess he could have.
Yeah, he's just like, you know, I could have stopped her. Like, I didn't know, like, how could I have known? But, like, I could have stopped her had I been there.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, I guess it's all over. And Belly's like, no, like, we're still gonna fight for this, like, don't worry, like, blah blah blah. And while this is going on, we get Jeremiah's thoughts.
I keep yawning. I think, yeah, and this is important because
Yes, very.
he goes on, like, he's saying, as they're talking, he's saying, I hate myself for not noticing, like, the invisible force they had between them, like, it's always been there, yada yada yada. And I'm like, you knowingly, like, knowing all of this, still going to do what you do. Like, it's just so messy.
Still
I'm like,
going to do what he does in the future, but also what he already did in the past. Like, if he always knew that there was something between them, and like there was like such thing as a force, to say, like,
yeah,
you know,
to say like there's an invisible force. Also, well, I guess we'll talk about it later.
well, I also want to mention, you might be saying this later, but that it also ties back to invisible string playing
Well, yeah.
while Bella and Conrad are at the beach in Cousins at Christmas. So it's kind of confirming that, you know, like from other people, like they also see that. And then he also mentions, like, I can't believe, during that thought, he says, I can't believe, or not I can't believe, but it's not fair because Conrad has never noticed her. Which in this episode, like, that contradicts itself in the future, and we'll talk about it. But I'm like, Jeremiah, what? He even contradicts himself within that whole thought, because he's like, I can't believe I've always noticed this force, but at the same time it's like Conrad never noticed her. Like, huh?
Yeah, no.
It doesn't make sense. But he is feeling all the feels. Oh, and then after this we get the flashback to Conrad's love confession.
Oh.
So it's
What a
like,
great
yeah,
scene.
because he's like all alone in the country club, and then we get this flashback, and it's just like super cute. Again, something we hadn't seen in the books, which is just so good.
It is a really good scene. It just, oh my gosh, first time I watched it, it's just like dialogue, Conrad's dialogue. First of all, he looks really good. But his dialogue of just being like, we don't want you to hate us, but like, my chest physically hurts not to be able to tell her I love her. Girl. Oh my god, that's literally crazy.
That is an insane thing to say, for sure.
It's a great
And
scene.
also because they hadn't even started dating.
Yeah.
Like, he already knew
This
that
was
he
like-
loved her.
Yeah, this was like 2 months, not even, after they first kissed.
So it's crazy. And he also does admit, like, Conrad admits to not knowing that Belly and Jeremiah had a kiss prior to them kissing. So
Yeah,
he was like,
so-
I genuinely didn't know, and I feel bad about it, but this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And like, you can tell, like, well, not you can tell, like, Jeremiah is very clearly still mad. Which is like, it's what pisses me off. He's still mad at Conrad. Which, okay, you can be mad at him, but like, he literally admits to not knowing the full context of what was going on. You did. Jeremiah did.
This is true.
And then he's still mad at Belly, which is like, okay, fine. But then he goes and like uses that against her. And it's like, it's not her fault. You didn't answer. And then you're going to blame her for not being there.
Yeah, because like she reached out, but you're just not.
But anyway. And then we get a little scene. Okay, I do want to say, we get a little scene of like him talking about the insurance company and like the receipts and stuff. And I'm like, where was Adam? Like, because again, Jeremiah later throws this in Conrad's face of like, you weren't there, you didn't have to deal with like the insurance and the medical bills and yada yada yada. Where's Adam? Like, he should have been dealing with all of that, not your 17, 18-year-old kid.
Yeah. Which also Jeremiah does mention in the future that like their dad did step up, but also it's like, wait, how? And when?
Yeah.
because it doesn't look like it, you know. But yeah, and then I think it's also during this flashback that Conrad's like, she's really upset about the fact that you haven't reached out to her, like you haven't talked to her.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, Jeremiah is mad about it, and he knows, but at the same time, like, he's not doing anything to fix it or to mend anything. Like, he's just being petty. And it shows, because even he says, like, do whatever you want, like, you're gonna go and do it anyways. And it's like, wait, Conrad's actually, like, trying to tell you what's going on, how he feels, like, trying
to, like, open up and just be honest.
Yeah, like, be honest, be real with his brother. And Jeremiah's like, well, whatever, like, you can do whatever you want. But then in the end, he's like, well, I guess if you feel that way, you can do it, basically. And then after this, it's when we're back to the country club, and Belly decides to hang out with Jeremiah instead. And he's like, I thought you were going to be with Conrad. And she's like, no, I'd rather be with you.
Which,
blah,
like,
blah, blah.
Okay, what I was going to say earlier, it's like, Jeremiah does all this knowing, like, what transpires afterwards. Knowing that Conrad and Belly have, like, this thing, but also, like, Belly was throwing herself at Jeremiah.
And we see a lot of that in this episode.
And it's like, girl, and I mentioned it, girl, if you want to rebound, sure, but not his brother. Like, you were good with him 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It is not the time to be literally throwing yourself at his brother.
Yeah.
But whatever.
No, exactly. And so she's making the what's the word I'm trying to say? Like, she's being intentional about not necessarily mending that relationship with Jeremiah, because they already did. But, like, she's seeking out after him, and she's like, you know, trying to be like, hey, and, like, being all cutesy and, like, letting her know that she cares, which he knows, but
just being flirty.
Like, very flirty, very, like, I want more kind of way. And then we also have Steven and Taylor flirting it up at the country club. He clearly wants to be with her. Like, it's just funny because he's really, like, setting up all the domino pieces. Like, he's like, no, Taylor, you're coming with me, or like, okay, Taylor, and
he's not hiding
the fact that
he's feeling.
No. And Taylor's, like, starting to pick up on it, I think, a little bit.
Everybody's picking up on it.
Well, yes, everybody sees it.
What?
And then also we get a Belly and Jeremiah flirting scene when they find the theater, and they're just having, like, a cute little, like, scene,
with the
reminiscing kind of. But again, it's like, you just thought about the invisible force with your brother and her.
No. Okay, no. I was gonna say, like, you can tell Jeremiah is just trying to truly be friends, though, and Belly just keeps.
This is true.
Like,
this is true.
Making it not platonic.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl. So, like, I do get Jeremiah being like, why is she making this so hard for me?
Mm-hmm.
But I still think in the end, it would have been better for him to stay away. But
this is true.
Like, she was not making that any easier.
Yeah, no. Like, anytime he would kind of, like, push her away to bottle up his feelings, I guess you could say, like, she would just be like, oh, like, why did he do that? Or why is he treating me like that? And blah, blah, blah. Which we see later in is it this episode? Yeah. Okay, and then also we get the other crew just looking around, looking for food and stuff. Else. And then Conrad's with Sky and Cam. And during this time, he gets the idea of contacting a judge to get part of his trust to pay the house, because he overhears Cam and Sky talking about it. So then we get that, and then after this we get Steven and Taylor again, and he is just being again same thing. They end up dancing. He's being like, okay, like, playing around, but also being serious, like, this guy really wants to dance with you. And she's like, whatever. But then they end up dancing, and it's a cute little scene. Yeah, they're cute. and I'm here for it. And then during this time too, people were like, okay, where are these kids? Like, what's
They're
going
all
on?
like looking for them.
We're looking at our notes here because it's a lot. Oh, and so Belly, during this time, they're like all at the theater, and she's like, guys, where are Steve and Taylor? Like, what's going on? So then Conrad and Jeremiah go and look for them. And during this like time that they're gonna go find them, Conrad and Jeremiah are just opening up a little bit more, and Conrad says, I'm so like, it's so good to see you and Belly get along again,
he's
like
like happy
be
that
friends.
they're getting along.
And he says, I know that she missed like having that contact and that friendship with you, you know, when we were together and everything had happened. And Jeremiah's like, yeah, whatever.
And that's when we get the Thanksgiving parallel.
Yes. So yes. So he's like, oh, whatever, and then we get the flashback to Thanksgiving.
Oh, I said parallel. Flashback.
Yeah, the flashback to Thanksgiving, which is such a good flashback because we get to see more of Belly and Conrad's relationship from like a different perspective, and it's just so cute. Everybody looks so good.
Yeah, I love them in like fall clothes, like fall winter clothes. Anytime Conrad's in a sweater is a good day.
This is true.
Oh my gosh,
Belly's
sweater is a what do you call it?
I know what you're trying to say, but I can't find the word.
Is inspired?
Yeah,
I guess that's not the word I'm looking for. But inspired by Rory's sweater for the pilot episode of Gilmore Girls, which I love. Iconic. So yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, so let's unpack it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that we were very excited to see like them during Thanksgiving and like just them not in summer. And so
like the dynamic of the family.
Yeah. So it's Thanksgiving and Susanna invited everybody over. And Belly, you can tell, is trying to like be friendly with Jeremiah, like, hey, it's so good to see you, blah,
and like
blah,
trying
blah.
to be like sensitive to him.
Yeah. And Conrad is just googly eyes, like, really.
Conrad does not care. Conrad is like, I'm here with Belly, and that's all I need. I'm thankful this year.
Yup. There was lots to be thankful for this year. But Jeremiah's just being dismissive. Like, he's just not wanting to.
Bratty.
That was really bratty.
Just like in the way he's carrying himself, like his demeanor. He's just like looking and like lurking, but just being like rude about it.
And petty.
And like, I get it, but like also, you ruined your your last Thanksgiving with your mom because of that. For yourself.
That's true. Because he was so focused on them.
You know? And I get it, but it's just...
And he does, like, at the end of the flashback, like, mention to Conrad. Well, he mentions before, like, I wish I could hold her hand like that. Like, does he know that... Or does she know that I had been wanting to do that for, like, the longest time? And then at the end of the flashback, he tells Conrad, because he's like, no, I'm not going to... They want to play the Wii Station or whatever. And... he's like, no, I'm just gonna call it a night. And he was like, also, if you're gonna come around and bring her, like, just let me know next time.
Conrad's
I
like, won't be here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Conrad's like, it's Thanksgiving, like, of course. And he was like, no, I know everybody's gonna be here, but if y'all gonna be here together, like, I don't want to be part of it, basically. And it's like, dude, like,
what? Like, this is a family you've known forever. And it's Thanksgiving. He knew we were going to be there together. What did he assume? They just, like, weren't going to be... I don't know. It's, like, weird. And then at the same time, like, he wasn't talking to Belly. Like,
yeah.
Just don't be petty.
Again, I get that he is jealous, but at the same time, like, dude,
you can't put that away. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long time. There's bigger things for you to worry about. And bigger things for you to focus on, like, hey, your mom is here for Thanksgiving, like, everybody's here for things, even your dad and your mom are like they were getting along. It's just like really like petty and like it just makes you mad watching it. You want to try and that's what we've talked about before. Like, you want to try and empathize with him and understand his point of view, but when he acts like that, you're like, dude, like,
yeah, it's like,
because it's also interesting what we're gonna see in season 3 when it's the other way around.
The other way around.
Yeah, like
we haven't seen it yet, so it's still up for
discussion,
debate. But like, I don't think it's gonna be like that. And if it is, then Conrad. Well, but it's still different. It's still different because Jeremiah and her were never in a relationship. They were never.
Yeah, that's true. Like, they were never serious. It was serious. It was just like silly little kisses.
And like, to him it might have been more, but like, they never discussed that. They
never had a conversation about it.
I don't know. It's at the same situation. Yeah. I don't mean to be like, well, no, it's different for Conrad, because people are gonna be like, you're so hypocritical, but like, it's just different. I don't know. It's a different situation. And I mean, I just don't think we're gonna be Conrad being that petty to the point where he was like, I don't want to hang out with y'all at all. There might be times where he can't, where he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna like deal with it. But he's not rude about it.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's
we will see. But yeah, it's just very, very petty. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, like, I get it, but you're gonna have to deal with it, like, and it says a lot about his character when he's dealing with it like that, It's just annoying. It's what it is.
Anyway, and then we get Conrad and Jeremiah finally finding out where Steven and Taylor were and like crashing their little moment, which was funny. And then after that, they're trying to watch the movie, but then Cam is like paranoid about them making a mess, right?
Cam so.
In that situation, I'm Cam.
I'm Cam.
I'm like, girl, yeah. I would be so worried too.
Yeah.
So they decided to go outside to smoke the weed. And that's when we get a Taylor and Belly conversation that is crazy, honestly.
It is
They're
insane.
talking about like each other's flings or whatever. Yeah. And we get a very good parallel from Steven and Taylor to Belly and Conrad, because Jenny has said that like Steven and Taylor are parallel to Belly and Conrad. But she talks about how like about first loves and like, but she's happy with Milo, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, Steven, this is Taylor. Steven will like always be her first love, and like, how she said before, a piece of her heart will always beat for Steven, but like, oh, she's so happy with Milo. But then we see how that turns out. And then we get to Belly talking about kind of like the same thing about like, oh, like first loves.
Well, I think it's important to notice that whenever they were having that conversation, like Taylor insinuated to Belly, oh, I saw you and Jeremy, like, what's going on?
Yeah, like they started talking about like what was going on.
There was a vibe.
But anyway, it leads to Belly saying something that is so crazy. And then she goes about Conrad. She goes,
okay, it's not crazy for her to say that, but it's crazy for her to say that and then do what she does.
Yeah. Anyway, she goes, I loved Conrad longer and truer than anyone else. I don't think I'll ever love anyone like that. What a crazy thing to say. And then she puts it in the context of like, it's kind of like a relief to her, because that means she won't have to go through like the emotional turmoil of having to love someone like that. I'm like, girl.
Yeah, she says it so like casually.
Yeah, like nonchalantly, like, oh yeah.
Like, but I'm like, girl, are you listening to what you're actually
like,
saying?
Yeah, he's the love of my life.
Like I will never love anyone like I have loved Conrad. But I'm like, she's not understanding what she's saying. Like, she's not.
Girl, therapy vibes.
Huh?
Therapy.
Yes. Like right now. So yeah, it's crazy that we get her saying that, and then we see what proceeds, not even in the next days.
In the next, like in the 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Not even 15 minutes. Like, it's crazy because she clearly does not know where she stands. Like, she reminds a mess. And I really think, like, she's trying her hardest to
not think about Conrad and like get over Conrad, which like that's fine. Don't do that with his brother.
Yeah.
You know, like, ugh. It's just so messy.
It is very messy. And it is a lot on her, I will say. And then we just get like weird stuff going on between Sky and Cam. They're just being like flirty-ish in a way.
In their own way.
It's just like kind of random. I don't know. It's just funny.
I feel like it's just,
we don't like it.
I know. I just think it's unnecessary. Like, I get they're the only other, like, quote unquote, like, pairing left together. You don't have to make them get together.
Yeah.
Like, truly,
especially
it's
because
fine
it's like,
if they're just friends.
Yeah, and it's just like a weird pairing, like very random. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so. Oh, and then they were like, okay, well, let's play Truth or Dare, and they asked Conrad, hey, what would you, or where do you see yourself in 10 years? And he's like, honestly, like coming back to this place, like I absolutely love this place. It's just like, you know, the 4th of July is like blah blah blah, like everything just feels so good here. Like I will always come back to this place no matter what. And it's just like a cute little thing because it's like, well, Belly feels a lot of that in a way. But yeah, it was very cute, very sentimental. And then we get Sky daring Jeremiah.
No, she dares Belly.
Oh, Belly to kiss Jeremiah. And I'm like, go read the room again.
Like, what are you being so messy for? Like,
and again, it's not her fault because she doesn't know like the whole context and everything that's going on, but like it's just so awkward.
It is awkward. Like, Sky,
but Belly's like, okay, girl.
Yeah, Belly's all for it, and
she's all for it. Conrad's
girl, no, literally, Belly, read the room, girl. Nobody wants that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Everybody's like,
yeah, everybody's like, oof. Moving on.
First of all, 2 of her exes are there. You do not need to be doing that, girl.
It's honestly funny. Like, it's funny, but I'm like, what is going on? I guess she has very different ways of coping.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen, and then we find out that Cam's sister passed away because they asked so like what his biggest regret was, and he says not spending enough time with his sister. So then we get a little bit of a like kind of like
insight
of how he's feeling, but also a relatable moment of him and the boys with, you know, everything that happened with grief and Susanna. And he's like, yeah, like, you know, it's gonna get better, but at the same time, like, there's gonna be certain triggers that are going to, you know, bring it all what's the word, to the surface again. So I'm interested to see like if they're gonna do any of that in like season 3 of like,
you know,
any like grief. I'm you know, they're gonna like deal with it.
Well, they are gonna deal with it.
Well, yes,
definitely gonna deal with grief.
Well, yes, but like in that way of like certain triggers and stuff like that. Like, it's interesting to see how that's gonna play out.
I think they will.
Anyway, I think they're already foreshadowing. Let's see what's next.
We get the flashback.
Oh yes, because they're like, whatever, let's go to bed. And so Belly ends up going up to Jeremiah, and she's like, why didn't you want to kiss me? Girl, what?
I just cannot defend that. As much as I want to be like, well, no, I cannot. Belly, what the heck? Find someone else.
Yes. Like, if you're doing this because you're trying to get over Conrad and just kind of like figuring out your feelings, like,
in her head she's not. In her head she's not doing that, I'm sure. But it is that.
Yeah. In her head, I think she's realizing like, oh, maybe I made a mistake and it was Jeremiah all along. But I'm like, girl,
No, she knows that's not true. Like that's not what her headspace
Well,
is,
because
she literally goes, I love
no, I
Conrad
know,
so
but I
much.
mean like in the fact that
I don't.
they were
Girl
meant.
just needs to not be doing this. That's
Yes,
that.
but I know that in the books a lot she's just like, especially in the second book, she's just kind of like, oh, Jeremiah's like so sweet, like he's doing all these things, like blah blah blah, he's looking out for me, blah blah blah. Maybe I made a mistake and it wasn't supposed to be Conrad all along. Like maybe my feelings were like lying to me. And so I think that's kind of where she's at. But still, it's messy. And, like, why would you ask him that? I would never want to know why someone didn't want to kiss me on a truth or dare.
Right?
Like, no. But he says, because if I do, I don't think I could ever stop. Listen.
Ew.
Listen. I get what they were trying to do with that, but it just like cringe. Cringe is what it is.
Things like that don't hit.
Yeah, no.
If you're above the age of 15.
Yeah. And we get them talking about that later, so we will talk about it more. But it's just like, anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then right after that, we get the flashback, which is...
it's devastating that they got an Isle Horns on.
Heaven specifically.
That's that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying about that. Anyway, we get a flashback to very important flashback too. To the previous summer, the beginning of the previous summer, and he's talking about the moment everything changed for him.
So he admits that
he is admitting that summer that she quote unquote turned pretty was the summer that everything changed for him.
Yeah.
Meaning he hasn't loved her all along.
Or liked her in that way.
Yeah, or liked her in that way all along. He didn't notice her until she came back looking pretty.
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
The end of that debate, honestly.
Well, yes and no, because I will go back to his initial thoughts at the beginning of the episode where he was like, I can't believe Conrad hadn't noticed her. And then it's like, wait, you only noticed her
but that's what
this past summer.
I think he didn't realize what Conrad was doing was him noticing her, because he would do similar things, but to him it was just flirting. You know what I mean? Since he in his head didn't notice Belly like that, and didn't think of Belly like that, he assumed everything Conrad was doing before
was like him too.
Like him, just being
flirty,
Conrad
nice.
And flirty or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is me assuming, but it wasn't that. Conrad was actually did like Belly.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah just didn't realize that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that he admits to hey, this was my turning point.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he again admits that it's been Conrad and Belly. And he was like, I don't have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he ended up having a chance, but it's just interesting. I don't know.
It's just, again, it's just so messy. It's messy because it's gotten to this point, and it's just gonna continue getting messy, and it's just ugh. It's a love triangle. What can we do? What can we do? But yeah, it's just seeing his point of view is interesting because, well, especially for us, because we read the books and we were like, maybe Jeremiah does truly love Belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna say that he didn't, I
think he does, but
it's different.
Yeah, I think it ends up being a different kind of love in the end, and also it's just circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he loved her, but he knew the situation he was getting himself into.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that love is driven by jealousy towards Conrad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't love her, but it's just circumstantial to where, you know what, babes, it wasn't you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, the song that Jenny decided to use for that is
Really random too.
The when we first saw that episode, it was so funny, like crashing out
I was
because that song started
devastated.
playing.
Devastated.
And then it didn't get better after that, but it's okay. We will talk about that in a minute. Oh, okay. So then, whatever, they spend the night at the country club, and you know, there's this thing obviously between Jeremiah and Belly because they also had a conversation about his cap and gown.
Oh yeah, like Susanna, the quote.
Yes, because oh, where are we? I'm confused. Oh, okay. So then I said the camp thing, but that happened after that flashback where
No,
we
it
get.
didn't. I don't know. Anyway, point is, we get them getting closer together. We eventually see a flashback of Jeremiah.
Okay. We got it mixed up. So the flashback of him with last summer was after Sky had asked them to kiss. It wasn't after Jeremiah or Belly confronts him. So then when Belly does confront him, he has a flashback of prom. Like Belly's prom, but in his point of view. It's a little confusing. We got it a little mixed up, but it's okay. You know what we're talking about. So then this is very interesting too because we get to see what he was thinking while prom was going on. Because obviously he wanted to take Belly. You know, we know that he's just been jealous of this whole situation, so he wanted to take Belly, and he was very upset about the fact that Conrad,
he was like, Conrad's treating it like a chore, yada yada yada. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it might look like that, but he also didn't know what Conrad was going through, in the sense that, like, the panic attacks and everything. Like, of course he knew what was going on with his mother and everything, but like, he couldn't be in the same headspace as Conrad and really, I guess, empathize with the fact that Conrad was having a hard time, you know?
And also, I think the situation is a little bit different because Jeremiah is spending a lot of time with his mother. So, again, he is seeing the, like, decline of her, but he's getting to spend quality time with her. And I think Conrad's issue,
a lot of what drives Conrad
is that he wants
anxiety.
Like he wants to be there for his mom, but it's also like he has college he's worrying about, and also like this new relationship that he wants to take care of. Like, I'm not saying that it's harder, but it's different because Conrad does want to spend as much time with his mom as he can, but like he doesn't have a lot of time to. And I think that's also like weighing him down, where it's like, oh, like my mom is dying, like, and I
can't be there. In contrast, like, not in contrast, but like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, in someone's point of view or another person's point of view, it just looks like Conrad's treating like a chore, like just being moody and whatever. Because also that's like, you saw the summer before where, like, when Conrad was being moody and everything, like, everybody just took that at face value. So anytime he was like that, like, they just took that at face value as Conrad being like that without, like, trying to figure out what was wrong. So
so it's interesting. And he also says, like, if it would have been like, if I could have taken Belly to the prom, like, I would have made it like the best thing.
I wouldn't have forgotten the corsage, blah blah. Which, like, I'm sure that's true, but like, that doesn't change anything, really.
And it's like, also, like, really, like, was that really gonna be what you were gonna do? Like, because again, like, he doesn't know everything that Conrad is thinking.
Again, like, I think he would have done a great job at the prom, but it's just, he's not Conrad, and Conrad's not Jeremiah, you know? Like, it's just different. So,
but then also in this conversation, like, Susanna's like, oh my gosh, like, you're still not over her, like, I did this, which
you did, babe.
In a way, yes. And And so she's like, you never let anybody see like you down. Like he's always putting up this like happy face, which again, it's the difference between him and Conrad. Like Conrad's trying to hide things, which he doesn't really hide things.
He doesn't do a good job.
And Jeremiah hides things in a way of like, oh no, I'm happy, I'm cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like they really are opposites. But it's just interesting to see how Susanna's like, you know, like it's gonna be okay. Just don't let this get between you guys. Like you and Conrad never let each other.
Yeah.
You know,
like don't let anything
come between you guys.
Come between.
And she does say, you are her best friend.
And
which is like
him. You can tell, like that.
I mean, that would sting me too.
Yeah. It's just it's funny.
It's
funny
because like Susanna does know like the real what happens, but like she also knows like you don't love her like that.
Yeah.
You know, like you love her, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
And he thinks that it's like that, but it's not.
But it's not.
So it's interesting that like she says that to him.
Yeah. Anyway, we get to them sleeping. We see that Conrad is looking into getting a lawyer, and then Belly gets rejected by her coach to go back to volleyball camp. We didn't talk about that, but you guys know.
Yeah.
And then it's the morning. They wake up in a hurry. They go home, only to find out that Aunt Julia sold the house.
Yeah, and but prior to this, Jeremiah and Conrad have a conversation of like, hey, so kind of like, what's the plan? And he says, well, I've talked to Liam about the trust, blah, blah, blah. And I think that they had already had this conversation prior in this episode. I don't remember when exactly, but Jeremiah was like, hey, like, you're not going to do this alone. Like, we'll put both of our trust into this, and we'll let like Aunt Julia know that the house will be ours. And so they were already kind of happy about that, and
they were just
really
waiting
just
on
like
the
doing more of a brotherly bond moment.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah's just kind of like stepping up for Conrad,
and then
in a way. But yeah, we get to them getting to the house, and the house is sold. And how devastating.
Yeah. And then we get the because the house is sold, they're of course devastated. Aunt Julia has to go to Boston to like finalize everything, and we get the discussion between Sky.
Well, this is the next episode.
Oh, this is the next. Yeah. Okay.
So the episode ends with the house is sold, and it's like, oh, like kind of like this is over.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
We get to episode 6. Okay, picking back up. They're devastated. They argue a little bit, but then we get an argument between Sky and Julia. And Sky's talking about how like Cousins feels like
different to what Julia
had been like described. Like it wasn't this like place where they didn't fit in. Blah blah blah.
Like she's had a good time, and the Cousins have like really taken her in.
And then they have a we see the flashback of the Christmas that Julia was with Susanna.
It was right after their dad had died.
And we see the I guess what went down.
Yeah. In a way.
Yeah. I mean, it just I guess I get Julia and her feelings and everything. Like, for her to point to that and be like, this is a signifier of like my sister like not wanting me and blah blah blah. It's like, wait, what? Why are you putting that all on her? On Susanna, when,
it's like she
clearly the problem to you was your dad. and your stepmom.
Yeah, it's like she's reading way too deep into it. You know, like
like
her feelings are valid.
Her feelings are valid. Like what her stepmom said sucked. But like she can't hold it against Susanna because that's her mom. And also like I don't know. I get like she is valid and feeling
Yeah,
upset, but to hold it against Susanna for that long to the point where you didn't even go to her funeral,
yeah,
like,
that is kind of
girl,
crazy.
that's
And
crazy.
also like
And
just
to like,
everything that she ends up doing. But I think it's interesting that she opens up to Susanna about it, you know, like because they end up talking about the house and stuff. She's like, I don't have any good memories in the house, like I don't want to go back. And Susanna's like, well, you know, I'm sure that my mom said this and she didn't mean it. Like she's trying to not necessarily defend her mother, because she's like, well, if she did say that, that was like a bad thing to say.
yeah,
But she's like, hey, like it's just us now, like
yeah,
we've got to do this together, like don't hold it against me, because I want you to be involved and I love you and I've enjoyed spending time with you, like you are my like sister.
yeah.
So it's interesting to say that. Aunt Julia just makes me really mad. Like, eventually
like,
she does the right thing, but I still, I still don't
then,
really like her.
stop Sky from seeing Conrad and Jeremiah and like painting this picture of them to Sky when like that just wasn't reality.
But also, like, because Jeremiah didn't understand her feelings, she completely like shut her off and just did
because
not.
Susanna,
What did I say, Julia?
Jeremiah.
Oh, what? Because Susanna didn't understand Julia's feelings, she just completely cut her off and didn't want to go back, didn't want to be involved
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, she again didn't try to mend that relationship or talk about it. And again, we don't know like the full story if Susanna and her eventually talked or whatever. But yeah, for her to just not let Sky be a part of that and have like this whole idea of what was going on, to then eventually like not go to Susanna's funeral and sell the house, which she is seeing that is very important to her kids. Like, it's very petty and like
Yeah.
it's just like it doesn't sit right with me. And she's still, even like Sky is reading her down in this conversation, like you are the problem here, like you need to figure out your feelings,
Like you can't
she's
let
not
this
trying to
like
yeah, like she's not trying to like say that her feelings aren't valid either, but she's like, hey, like this is not about you and you are making it about you. And even then like or Julia's like, well, whatever, like I'm still gonna go through with this, like I don't care, I'm
Yeah.
not like trying to put it all in the past when she still hasn't clearly dealt with it. So it's just interesting to see that, to see the, like the bigger picture and why Julia was acting the way that she was. But again, I'm like, girl, please, you're an adult here. So again, the house is sold. They're all like, well, this is over, like what are we gonna do? Like there's not really anything to do. Conrad again is just back to his being down self. Like his
Down bad.
his new plan went down the drain, so it's like he doesn't know what to do. But then they eventually are like, well, okay, we can't just leave it like this. Belly comes up with the brilliant idea to throw a party because of the story that she had heard from Susanna and Laurel's first time being in the house by themselves. She's like, it's the perfect farewell and stuff. And it's cute because Conrad's like, she
Conrad
gets
can
it.
see like how Belly how Susanna told Belly that like she's the one that could keep the magic alive in the house. Conrad could then see that in Belly, I think.
Yeah.
Can be like, oh, like she's like my mom.
Yeah,
in
like
the
she
way
gets
that,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and so it's cute because like
it's cute.
everybody's like, yeah, I'm down, like let's do it. But everybody
It just like
eventually
meant a lot more, I think, in that moment between the two.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
yeah,
by the
because
way they're-
eventually everybody asked Conrad like, are you okay with this? Like, is this something that you want? And he's like, I think is what my mom would have wanted.
Yeah.
And so it's like very cute to see that again they're like in the same like headspace and mindset about what the house means, but also what it means to their mom. And I'm not saying like this is not to say that Jeremiah doesn't, but it's just like
it's not to say that Jeremiah doesn't at all. It's just to say that like
they have that
Belly
connection.
and Conrad connect on that.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, we have a little heart to heart between Steven and Conrad. And I just love their dynamic this season. I'm so excited to see what their dynamic is going to look like next season. It's interesting because they're more brotherly than than Jeremiah and Conrad. And I get that there's like this like rift between Conrad and Jeremiah because of everything that's happened. Like, I get that. Anyways, it's just cute to see Steven in.
Yeah, I like the conversation they have. And like Steven gets Conrad.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense that he's like, you either tend to live way high or way low. Like, you need to stabilize yourself. You need to live in the middle.
Yeah.
And like learn how to stay there.
Yeah.
And they also both look really good in this conversation.
Yes, they do. And so, yeah, Steven's just like, hey, like, I know these things are happening and you've got a lot to deal with right now, but you just got to deal with it a little bit better. So I think Steven has really helped Conrad in this season, but I also think he's going to be a big part of that in the upcoming season. So like I said, I'm just very excited to see that. And then Belly and Taylor talk about the fact that she is not allowed to go to summer camp or volleyball camp because of the coach and what she said and all of that. And Taylor is upset about it, and she's like, no, I don't want to do it if you're not in it, blah blah blah. And after this, Belly finds Jeremiah by the pool, and they're just talking about the house, and Jeremiah's opening up about how like this is a safe place for him and how like everything's gonna be a memory and everything. You know, he was like, I just wish, you know, like we had more time, blah blah blah. And then we get Jenny we get them having this cute scene in the pool to Delicate by Taylor Swift, the first and I hope only song we get for Taylor Swift for them.
I don't think it's gonna be the first and only because
well, technically we got Daylight.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I don't like, I hate to make this about Taylor Swift and her love life, but Reputation like as an album and like Delicate as an album was about a time where Taylor found love when she really needed it, but it ended up being a love that felt nice and it ended up being a love that like in the moment felt nice and secure, and she thought it was what like was gonna last forever and was gonna be long term, and like that was her best friend and yada yada yada, but it just turned out to not be the one. And like the parallels are there in terms of like what Jeremiah and Billy go through and like what Taylor was feeling in the moments when she was writing those albums,
which is go ahead.
Well, just because, like, you know, I don't know.
It's crazy, though, that Jenny chose that song, and then, like, that same summer is when we found, not necessarily summer, but when we found out about Taylor and Joe's breakup.
Yeah, well, we knew about their breakup before. Yeah.
It's crazy how that ended up working out.
Yeah, it did work out. Also, that was 2 summers ago, and we still don't have Reputation.
Yeah. What's up?
I think we're going to get it soon, though.
What's up with that?
Very soon.
Yeah, because
you might even get an announcement by the time this episode comes out, because we're pre-filming this episode 2 weeks before it comes out, because we're going to be traveling.
Yes.
And I just...
She feels it coming.
Well, okay, everybody feels it coming. But, like, well, everybody in, like, the Taylor Swift world of it all. I think it's going to be
I think so,
soon.
too. It has to.
I feel like it has to. Also,
it's
like,
a long time coming.
Yeah, and I feel like we might have something in some promo.
For the Summer I Turned
Pretty. For the Summer I Turned Pretty. Which
yeah, I think so, too.
Might be why it's taken for so long for the trailer to come out. I don't know. Girl, I don't know.
We also, okay, a little side note. If the trailer comes out while we're on vacation,
because we're going to be traveling this next week when we feel like something's going to happen.
It is currently Saturday, and I think Wednesday, like this coming Wednesday, is when the trailer is going to drop.
And we're literally going to be traveling.
Like that's when our flight is, and guys,
like if you see us at the airport reacting to that trailer,
yes,
know that we're going to have to be quiet.
We are either going to have to talk about the trailer, just the mics, no video.
Yeah,
we'll try to record a reaction to watching the trailer if it does come out while we're together, But just bear with us.
Yeah, it's gonna be hectic.
We're like so nervous that it's gonna happen during that. And
whatever.
well,
as long as we get it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yes.
I will be happy either way. So it's fine. As long as we get it as soon as we can.
It needs to come soon. Is what it needs to be. Anyway, yeah, so crazy that we get a Taylor Swift song for Belly and Jeremiah, but it does make sense.
Yeah, it does make sense in the grand scheme of things.
And the song that they chose was Delicate. So it is delicate. The situation is very delicate. So it is, I mean,
it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
It worked.
Whatever.
Okay, we were upset about it. We're still kind of upset about it, but Jenny,
works.
Again, I trust you.
At the time, I was still very upset about the breakup, so...
Yes.
Now it's like... You see it and you're like, yeah, it makes sense.
So then after this, we get Taylor telling Belly that Conrad wants to go get party supplies with Belly. Who knows what could have happened if it was just them two? Like, it's so interesting.
Go in and insert
but
themselves.
Yes, Jeremiah invited himself. He's like, I'll go too. Whatever.
Okay, I guess for the drama.
For the bonding, I guess.
Yeah.
Milo at this point calls Taylor and she's like, oh my gosh, like I miss you. And they're like, I just miss you. And then Steven's like, ugh. And he's trying to get in the conversation.
Steven is being Steven. Like throughout both of these episodes, Steven is just...
He's just being funny is what he's being.
He's funny and he's so direct. And it's just like, okay, Steven, whatever.
Like Conrad can learn a few things from Steven. For sure. But it's just funny. And then we see Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah trying to get alcohol for the party, and this is a fun little cute scene.
Yeah, it's a fun little scene.
We get a lot though.
We get a lot. We get Conrad and Jeremiah trying to get alcohol, failing to get alcohol. We get the Jenny cameo.
Yes, my girl Jenny.
And then we get a really fun part where Conrad is like, okay, what's your plan, Isabel?
Straight from the books.
So fun.
Too good. This is like the first time we see and hear him say is like Belly's actual name.
And then we get Belly trying and succeeding to get alcohol. It's funny. Okay, it's funny because then when they come back with the alcohol, Conrad and Jeremiah are like surprised.
Yeah.
And then we have Belly talking to what's his face?
I don't remember his name. Sorry.
Whatever the gas station guy is. We get to him talking and he's like something about like, about the party.
Like I'll see you tonight.
Tonight. And then we get Conrad really like
jealous. He like gives him kind of a dirty look and he's like, huh?
He's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And who is not jealous at all, does not care,
like it doesn't even face him. And it's just funny.
It's funny. I don't know, it's funny. Like you don't care about anyone talking to Belly except Conrad. Whatever.
and then right after this, again, straight from the books, we got this little part as like a little sneak peek into season 2
before it came out.
I'm telling you, the first time I saw this, I said, season 2 is gonna be good. Season 2 is gonna be good, because we were freaking out.
I can't wait for season 3. I'm just like, the more I think about it, the more
Belly gets slushies for her and Jeremiah, and it's like their thing. And Jeremiah's like, your specialty. And so Conrad, again being jealous, says, how come you didn't make me one? And she's like, well, I know you don't like them. And he's
always say they're too sugary.
Yeah. And he's like, you don't know that. Basically takes a sip from her drink,
like just goes in for it.
Yes, and like gets so close to her, like the way that he looks at her.
Oh my gosh, it was
and
crazy.
She's just like,
and she's like in the
oh
moment like,
whoa, you can't see her freaking out again, but I know my girl was freaking out,
like internally.
Yes,
my girl was freaking out.
Yes.
And then he proceeds
to say,
ooh, too sugary. And then he goes, and I thought
hot cocoa was your specialty. With the smirky smirk. Gagged. Absolutely
We were
gagged.
all gagged. Belly was gagged. We were gagged.
And again, you can't really see her because she kind of just like rolls her eyes. But she was
if I was gagged,
flipping.
she was gagged. Okay.
Yeah. I don't, because in the book, this is like a big deal for her. Like, she's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe he just referenced the
Hot
night we spent
cocoa.
at Cousins.
And now it's like so much more heightened too.
Yes, now it's even more important because it's like, oh my gosh, like, that night was very important to the both of us.
Y'all.
Oh my goodness, crazy work.
Crazy.
I kind of wish we would have seen a little bit of more like Belly freaking out or just like being upset about it, because she's just kind of like nonchalant about it, and I'm like, girl, what? Girl, what? But yeah, like the look, everything about that is just
so good.
Crazy. But thank you, Jenny Han.
Thank you.
So then after this,
we're at Cam's house because he's getting all the DJ supplies. And we just got Cam and Sky having like a heart-to-heart, talking more.
She's like, you should actually go on that boat internship thing, whatever. He's like, I don't know. They talk about his sister, blah, blah, blah. It's just them bonding, getting to know a little bit more, each other a little bit more. Again, kind of random, but okay. Whatever.
And then we get Party City.
I like the beginning of this scene because they're like
fun.
having fun.
Like, all
it's
the
kind of like
of the three of them is fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like them.
Yeah, very playful, very fun. Like what we could have had all along.
Yes, like them in the old days of just having like a playful good time.
But we get
one
of the most iconic scenes.
Yes, I was gonna say that. I think we get one of the best scenes coming out of season 2. Again, something we don't get from the book. So this is like the first time I was seeing this. The first time we were seeing this.
This episode is just full of such iconic scenes from things we don't get in the book.
Things we do, but heightened too.
Yeah, but like the most iconic scenes to come out of this episode and this season aren't in the book.
Yes. But so when we first watched this, we were like, oh my,
this is crazy too.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Like this whole episode was just absolutely crazy. Roller coaster of emotions by the like almost end of it. Like there's so many things that are going on there. You're like, oh my gosh. So anyway, we get Conrad trying to be flirty because he's already been flirty. So he like crashes his car into Belly's, and she's like, "You're not even blah,
you don't
blah,
even have anything fun, blah, blah, blah."
And then so she's flirting back. It's just
too good.
It's
It's crazy just to see them like that. It's so fun though. Like
flirting,
like
being playful, and so she puts all these party things on him, and she says,
"This is 100% your look, Connie baby."
Literally the
most iconic thing to come out of that summer. Honestly,
yes,
because that sound became like so viral. Like, oh my gosh,
iconic.
Lola, you'll always be famous.
Yes, 100%. You're like Connie, baby. Like
that. Yeah.
Also, a crazy thing for her to say.
Yeah, Connie, baby. What? Huh? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wait, so you're telling me you're not together right now? Like, I bet Conrad was freaking out.
Because and this we talked about it. She then starts to get serious of like, hey, can I talk to you? Like, there's this thing that's going on, like, and I need to talk about it. Blah blah blah. He thinks it's gonna be like her feelings for him.
Oh yes.
Because of the way his face, he's kind of like expectant, like blah blah blah. And then she's like, I just want to apologize for like the funeral, and like his face drops. It's subtle, but also drops, not. Yeah. His face drops, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like the funeral, like yeah." And she apologized for the funeral, rightfully so. Like they have a really good conversation.
Rightfully so.
They have a good conversation about that. They flesh it out of like what happens. He opens up about his panic attack.
Yeah, like we get to see the big picture of like what actually went down and why that happened.
She goes like, I didn't have a right, and he goes, you had every right. Yeah. He opens up and he's like, I wish it was you who had found me. Great scene.
Great scene. It's so good. Like, again, they're kind of like back to that communication of like,
Yeah,
no,
they're like
this is what
opening up
happening,
and really being
blah blah
like,
blah.
yeah.
And
And then
it's just so cute. He like takes away the tiara and like, well,
yeah,
puts the tiara on her and then takes it
he's
away.
wearing it and smooths it.
Yeah.
Oh, but we were talking about like funny. Conrad had the boa and the glasses on, and like she was like starting to have the conversation. She was like, "Yeah, like I just want to like have a conversation." She starts like getting serious, and he's just like standing there with
the
boa and the
glasses.
glasses.
It's just so funny.
Anyway, and then who do we get?
Jeremiah creeping in.
Interrupting.
Is what he says.
Jeremiah.
Like,
Oh my
why are you
gosh.
here? Because I honestly give him like 5 more minutes and
They're making out.
No, literally.
Like give them
back
5
together.
more minutes and they're back together.
But no,
Because they were on that flow of like
Yes.
just talking. Like I'm sure they would have started talking about the
prom.
breakup. And,
Yes.
Because clearly they needed to.
Yes.
Because of what we see later on. Clearly they had things to say.
Yeah.
Oh
Girl,
my
they still have so many
God.
things to say.
No, true. They still have many things to say. But anyway,
Yeah,
whatever.
and Jeremiah creeps in. He's like, "Are you guys done?" And then they're like, "Yeah, we were just finishing up." And he's like, "Well, hurry up then." Oh, okay, sir. Jeez.
Reverting right back to
his
that
jealous
petty,
self. Mm-hmm.
jealous
Mm-hmm.
little boy he was being at Thanksgiving.
I mean, I get it, dude. Like, you just
You ain't the one.
Like, are you seeing what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because, like,
clearly he's seeing what we're seeing.
yeah.
So, you know what? Stay mad.
Stay mad for real.
Anyway, and then we get back to the house. We get Sky asking for kissing lessons.
Yeah, because
from
she's like, I've never had my first kiss. Like, what is it like? Blah blah blah.
yeah, from
Again, random.
Belly.
Random, but it serves its purpose.
Yeah, it serves its purpose because we get Belly talking about her kisses
with each person,
which each guy she's kissed, and man, oh man, this
again,
girl.
she's saying these things nonchalantly, but I'm like, girl,
but I'm like, we need to take a moment and sit in this. This
she's
is what
like
you should be telling a therapist.
She's like, yeah, she's like admitting all these things, and I'm like, wait,
what?
take it back, rewind. We gotta talk about this.
Someone needs to pause her. So Sky asked, like, describe each one of your kisses and like blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And Belly goes, okay, well, Cam, it was like super sweet, like a very sweet first kiss. Conrad, I don't know, I blacked out. I wasn't even in my body.
Yeah, she was like, I wasn't even in my own body in that one.
Okay, sure. And then she goes, Jeremiah, like, hot. Really hot.
Like, actually, not something that I expected. It was really hot.
Wow. It's a crazy thing it is a crazy thing to say that, like, you blacked out and you weren't even in your body when you kissed Conrad.
My girl just confessed to having an out-of-body experience kissing the love of her life, aka Conrad, and just proceeds, what? Hold on.
And also, like, goes to show that a lot of the relationship with Jeremiah, which we later see in the end of the season, and it's different from the book. They don't really, like, focus on this in the book, but it's fueled by like lust and like just wanting,
like
attraction and stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying like that fuels a lot of what is transpires. Anyway,
so yeah, that was interesting thing to say. Belly, what's next?
Oh, when they're at the garage and Belly and Jer.
What's first Jeremiah and Conrad, and they're just reminiscing on the past, and then we get Belly and Jeremiah, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like I have this picture." Like they're just talking about the pictures and stuff like that. Again, reminiscing. She's like, "I have this picture on my mirror," and he says, "Yeah, look at the way you're like drooling all over him."
Yeah,
and
over Conrad.
Yeah, and she's like, that was such a long time ago. And he was like, well, that's what it looked like. You guys were like, that's how you looked just like 5 minutes ago at the store.
She's in denial. No one else is in denial here but her.
And she says kind of like the craziest thing, because she says, I don't know, like sometimes you can get over your past while also like embracing the present. Something along those lines.
Something along those lines.
It's been 2 months. It's been 2 months. You've already said all these things that are crazy.
But then you're like still so persistent on moving on and being with someone else. Like,
and like she's being transparent, like she's kind of like, Jeremiah, no, I want you.
Yeah.
Basically.
And they're like, again, like, maybe let's take a step back, chill out a little, give it some time. And in 4 or 5 months, you still feel the same about Jeremiah? Girl, go ahead. Do what you need to do. But, like, babes, it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, you can chill out. You do not have to be in a relationship right away. Especially not Jeremiah.
His brother, yeah.
His brother.
And transitioning into that scene, we get a conversation she has with Taylor. And again, we go back to the whole Taylor, and we talked about this a little bit more, but Taylor just not being a good friend in the sense that, like, why are we encouraging Belly to be with Jeremiah, like, and start things and like immediately get into things with Jeremiah, like,
while simultaneously not letting Belly open up about Conrad.
Yes, because she does mention, I don't want
to talk about Conrad and like how they had a moment, they had a conversation. Belly admitting it was a moment. They had a conversation, and Taylor immediately goes, I don't want to talk about Conrad. He hurt you. I don't want to talk about him. It's like, what? Like, first of all, even if he had broken up with her, which he didn't, I'm not saying he didn't hurt her, but like, even if he had broken up with her, like, you should still give your friend the space to talk about it.
Yeah, and just
it's only been 2 months. If in a year she's still talking about Conrad, I'd be like, girl, shut up. But it's been 2 months. Like, let her talk about,
especially if something just happened between the two of them, and that was important.
She literally admitted to you the night before, saying she will always like, or she'll never love like anyone else. Like, why?
It's messy.
And like, it's that culminating with like pressure from like other people to like move. I don't know. Belly, time and therapy. Please.
Yes.
Not kissing up on Jeremiah.
Right now. Like, get back to time, like giving it time and having therapy. But she does not have that.
She does not have that.
But again, it's like Taylor just not, and I don't know if it was just because she's trying to protect Belly, and also dealing with her
like
things,
the right thing for her,
and dealing with her stuff. But it's like, girl, like, why? And what is going on? Like,
it's weird. I don't know.
No, absolutely not. And then we get a very interesting thing that happens during the scene where
at the end, where Taylor leaves, and then at first we were like, it's Taylor saying they're here. Well, no. We immediately clocked, like, oh, that sounds like Susanna. But we never had the captions on. So we were like, is that Taylor supposedly saying they're here? And then, like, Belly hearing it as Susanna. I don't know. We were so confused.
Yeah. At first we thought it was Taylor saying it. But then, like, it's sounding very close to Susanna.
Yeah.
But no, it does say, like, Susanna says they're here. And so I think it's just, like, this little quick moment where Belly forgets that Susanna's not dead.
Yeah.
And like, because that happens previously in like episode 3 or 2, no 4, girl, I don't even know, when she mistakes Julia.
Aunt Julia. But I don't know. Anyway,
so, it's just weird,
but it happens.
So then we're at the party, everybody's having a grand old time. That party looks very fun. I want to be part of that party. Not after everything transpires, but
I'll be a onlooker.
Yeah,
at the party, watching everybody.
And so we have them taking Polaroids because they want to remember this, and this is very important because this is foreshadowing to season 3, which I am so excited for. We get Conrad wanting to take a picture
asking
of
Belly to take a Polaroid with him.
That little moment is actually so cute.
A great moment.
He just like takes a picture.
First of all, They all look good. Belly looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But something about Conrad and that outfit and that hair.
It's the shorts and like
he looks good.
Also, it's interesting to point out that Conrad, Belly, and Jeremiah are like matching.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing the same colors, and it's like,
Okay, we got it. It's a love triangle.
Anyway, so yeah, they take a picture. The hand placement of Conrad, like holding Belly. Oh my gosh, Conrad.
That was a crazy picture.
So anyways, they take the picture and he's staring at it, and I'm like, yep, I know where that's going.
Oh, we all know where that's going.
And yep. Steven's like clocking it.
Yeah, Steven's clocking Conrad. They have the conversation about like, okay, clearly you're not over her, and then Conrad being like, okay, well, clearly you're into Taylor.
Yeah.
And then I love because Conrad's like, okay, you know she has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then Steven's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like what's stopping me? Hello?
Yeah, he's like, okay, and he's not right for her.
Yeah, and so
like,
we were like, foreshadowing, parallel to season 3.
Unfortunately, I can't condone cheating, but like, that's funny.
It is funny. So it's interesting to see, like, again, how that's gonna, which is a lot of stuff that's gonna play out in season 3. But the important thing about the Polaroid is, we've talked about this before, but I 100% think that Conrad's gonna have that either in his wallet or somewhere, to where it's gonna be like an important thing
that he like carries and holds on to
for season 3, and I'm so excited to see what that will be.
Anyway, we need to get to things.
I know this is already a long episode.
We're gonna have to, like, hit the points until the
and
important
then
part.
right after this, she like heads over to, I think, give other people drinks, but she ends up tripping. Jeremiah catches her and he's like, you don't have to hurt yourself to get my attention.
Ew, that's all I'm saying about that.
Again,
ew,
wrong execution. No
ew,
actually no.
Anyway, we're gonna have to get through
because okay, Taylor and Belly did talk about him saying, if I kiss you, I don't think I could ever stop. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so Wattpad, so attractive.
Yeah, it's giving Wattpad and not in the right way.
Yeah, no. Moving on.
Anyway, okay, we get Cam and Sky kissing. We get Steven and Taylor dancing, cute. But then Milo shows up. We get Steven and Milo. Okay, no, before this, we get Belly and Jeremiah on the couch talking about kissing and blah, blah, blah. And then they almost kiss, but then we get Steven and Milo fighting, quote unquote fighting. Girl, it was so funny. Like, I was dying this morning watching that. I was like, they're so silly. Anyway, we get that fight leading to nothing because Taylor storms out and is embarrassed, rightfully so.
Well, but it does lead to something because she eventually asks him like, dude, you don't even know who I am.
Know me. Like
these are my friends.
Name? And then he can't. And then we get Steven saying Madison.
It's Madison.
It's dude. Madison. Love that for Steven.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get Sky finding out from Aunt Julia that the buyers agreed to let the gang stay at the house for 1 week out of the year,
but rent it out.
And okay, I get why Belly and Jeremiah are happy about that because it's a fun thing, but I also get why Conrad is like, no, I'm not doing that because it's not going to be their house anymore. Yeah, it loses all. It's
it's like a little all or nothing. Like, even if they do end up getting to stay at that house, it's not gonna be the same because
it's nothing is the same. Yeah, it's not their house. It's not their things. Their mom's stuff isn't there.
Yeah, their mom's
and they have to rent it out of some other families. How I get it. It's just it's not the same.
Yeah, Conrad says we're not gonna rent.
I feel he's I'm only gonna hurt myself now, reminding myself constantly that it's not there.
He says we're not gonna rent our house from someone else. That's just no.
And then Jeremiah's like, well, it isn't our house, and he's like, exactly. Anyway, so then they start that fight, and Jeremiah.
I have a lot to say about this, but I don't know if I will.
Well, Jeremiah just is really getting on Conrad and being like, well, Conrad, like, you're selfish, like.
But he says, how come you get to make all the decisions? Like, this is not up to you. And then he throws it back at him, like, you weren't even there.
Well, before this, he's like, you just drop things when they're hard. Like, things get hard and you run.
Yeah.
And then he gives an example of him and Belly's relationship of, like, it got hard and you dropped it. You dropped her.
And he mentions, like, you begged so
like,
much to, like, be with
for
her.
my blessing to be with her.
But then you eventually, like, her. Yeah. And so, she says,
Belly, A, gets the information, B, then gets upset and is like, don't use me to get at him. Rightfully so.
Yes. I thought she was going to be, like, what? You know, like, mad about the fact that, like, Conrad talked about her behind her back, kind of, but she was like, no, don't use me to, like, get to him. Like, don't do that. And
like,
storms out. And I'm like, yes. And Jeremiah's like, girl, what? But I'm like, no,
confused. Why are you confused?
Yeah.
Anyway,
you should not be confused.
We continue the fight. Also, I want to point out, Conrad did not drop Belly.
Again, they don't know the whole story.
I need that to be fleshed out, because it's just ignored and we never talk about it again. I'm like, what? So everybody thinks Conrad dumped her. Like, that's not what happened. Anyway, we need to get through this.
But anyway, that conversation keeps going, and he like throws it in his face, like, I used to look up to you, but now I don't. Like, you weren't even there, like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I was at school. Like, I was there as much as I could. And he was like, yeah, but you weren't there when it got hard, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, you can't really throw that.
Yeah, he was just throwing a bunch of things in his face that, honestly, he just didn't have the right to.
Yeah, because, like, what do you mean?
I wasn't there every single minute of the day, duh, because I couldn't, you know?
Because he was like, yeah, but it wasn't every day. And he was like, yeah, I was in college, anyway, which wasn't even close. It was like a 4 or 5 hour drive from them. So it's like, and he calls Conrad.
He's like reading Conrad down, and I think what's most upsetting is that these are all things Conrad already feels about himself. And for Jeremiah to just be like telling him, like, you like do this and do that and you're not worth this and like you're a coward, blah blah blah.
Like, he says, you used to be someone I look up to, but you don't.
Now you're not.
Now you're someone I don't even want to, like,
he's like, be.
And then Conrad goes, what's that? And he's like, a coward. And then goes as far as to saying, I don't even know if you're someone that I want to know.
Like,
mind you, this is your brother.
Yeah, like, your brother. Oh my god, poor Conrad. And then he has another,
which says a lot that Conrad just genuinely did not, like, burst out and throw it back at him, because he could have done that. He could have, but he didn't.
He could have. And then from what we see, spoiler next episode, you've already watched it. He apologizes to Jeremiah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Jeremiah does not apologize to Conrad.
Like, so from what I remember, no, he never says anything about that, which is crazy. And again, it just says so much about
someone get Conrad a gun.
Okay, no. We're not gonna go there. But it just says a lot about, like, how
Conrad,
Jeremiah is and how Conrad is. And again, it just all stems from jealousy. It really does. But again, he's not, like, he says those things without regretting it, because again, we don't see that he regrets it and he apologizes for it.
He doesn't apologize for it. So he means it.
I literally want to get in the screen and punch Jeremiah during that, because I'm just like, dude,
Conrad, get behind me.
And again, all of this, with everything that has happened, like with the problems with the house and like them losing their mom, like not even like 2 months ago, like
piling up.
It's
I'm like, oh
just
my goodness.
Like so much already on both of them, but on Conrad, and for him to just do and say all those things is just like, no, that is so wrong. Regardless of everything that's going on and all your feelings, like your feelings are valid, I guess. But for you going to say all those things about your brother,
it's like, y'all just lost your mom. Like, y'all should be sticking together. Whatever.
Jeremiah, I try to like you, but I don't.
Anyway, and then we get another. Conrad didn't get a break. Literally, that's what I'm saying. Like, we get the Belly Conrad fight on the beach. After Belly is like very drunk, very upset, and Conrad tries to go and like help her out.
Yeah, because she's
not.
Yeah, she's
drowned.
She's in the beach, like in the water.
Anyway, and then it all transpires, and it leads to this argument about.
Well, but I think it's important to point out that part of this was in the book, like him going to go pick her up.
No, yeah, the part of that was in the book. But some of the dialogue, some of the most iconic dialogue, was not in the book.
Yes. We got more from that scene.
Yes.
I remember it was crazy. We were watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is still going.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Like wait, they're still gonna see stuff. Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Anyway, I hope we get so many moments like that.
Yes, please, Jenny. No, I trust you. I trust
her too. Anyway, so they start arguing, the Belly basically being like, you went to Jeremiah about us, like you cared this much about us, you begged him, and like she just didn't know that. She did not know that Conrad cared about her that much.
Which I thought whenever she heard that information that she was just gonna be like upset about it in the other way of like
why did you go to him about
like
us?
You kind of like you had no right, basically. But no, it's like, wait,
you cared that much about me, like you wanted us together that bad. So she's kind of like freaking out about the fact that like she didn't know Conrad cared for her that much. Again, I think it was all the insecurities that she had, that like she didn't see how much Conrad cared. And then we get the iconic, like, because she's like, if I knew
that
how
you
much you
did
cared
that
about me, like if I knew, I would have been there for you through everything.
Like I would have fought for us.
And then we could. And then he goes, I thought you knew.
From the moment we kissed on the beach.
I thought you knew.
That is a crazy thing to say, because it's not only that I thought you knew how I felt about you, like I thought you knew what we had, but I thought you knew from the moment we kissed on the beach.
From that exact moment. Oh my god.
Mind you, they're in the beach. At the beach. But like insane. But we do kind of see that in the episode 1 where
because he was like, all or nothing, let's be together,
like be with me, you're it for me, Belly. Like he was like, no, this is what I want, this is it, like it's you and me, it's always ever been you and me. And so for him to be like, I thought you knew, like he thought,
to him, he was like, it's so obvious, like we are this to each other. Anyway, and then she goes like, I thought we loved each other. And then he goes, we did.
Conrad.
No,
Conrad,
y'all
why?
do.
Why?
Y'all do love each other. At this moment, y'all love each other.
It's just very disappointing, because you can tell how disappointed he is and how like, wait, like what?
Yeah, he's like so confused about this, and she's like so distraught, and he's like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Like, I thought you knew.
Literally goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? I thought you knew.
No.
The amount of times that just like randomly came into my head in the past 2 years, and I was like, no.
And then, oh my gosh, no, it's
crazy.
So I think that he didn't confess anything else, or like he didn't try to keep that conversation going because of everything that had just happened. He was like, if I just make this messier, like it's not.
He was like, girl, he was already low.
Yeah,
and she couldn't go lower.
She was not in a good space either.
No,
like,
neither of them like were in a good space at all. Anyway, Snow on the Beach starts playing. Who is Snow on the Beach for? Steven and Taylor. Because then we get Steven and Taylor having the conversation after like the Milo fight, of him just telling her like, you deserve to be seen by someone, like be with me basically. And then they get together, they kiss, and it's sweet, a cute little moment,
which is crazy because
parallel to
we all thought that that's a song that Jenny was going to use for
when
Christmas.
It was snowing at the beach,
but no,
but it worked out because we got Invisible String, and that's Anyway.
Yeah, but still, it's just crazy
So,
that they're at the beach.
Because we still ended up getting it. We were all like, what?
Yeah.
And then paralleled to Belly coming back to the house, like, it's just such a mess. She sees Jeremiah and she's like, well, there's Jeremiah. But then there's Conrad and she's like stuck and she's, you know, she's feeling all the emotions. She's still drunk. So then she goes up and calls her mom.
Yeah. Very sad.
Very sad. A very good phone call.
Yeah.
But imagine being Laurel just like in the middle of the night.
No. And like, it's not even a conversation. It's like a voice
Yeah, it's
message.
a voicemail.
So it's like, oh my gosh. Like finding out not only is your daughter crying drunk, but she is at the cousin house. The boys might not ever talk to each other again. Like the house is being up for sale. Like, wait, it's actually
what is
a
going
mess.
on?
Yeah. That when I watched that for the first time, it made me cry.
We
like
were,
it was
we were
just
both
like
crying. We were like, oh my gosh.
The roller coaster
Everything is a mess.
But yes, everything is a mess. And Lola, the actress,
oh my god,
that you are,
Lola.
It was just so good. It was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
Jam-packed couple of episodes.
This episode is by far our longest one.
The longest episode we've had, for sure.
We just had a lot to talk about, and I feel like the next episode is gonna be like that too.
Yeah,
the next rewatch episode.
Yeah, episode 7 and 8.
We've got
a lot to go over.
A lot, because it just goes. It's like
we're up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's crazy.
So anyways, that is our rewatch for episodes 5 and 6 of The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Season 2, 5 and 6.
Season 2, yes.
Yes. Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. We've got lots to talk about, and I just can't wait to reference all these moments for season 3.
That's gonna be so good, and it's gonna be so good to see like what things foreshadow to things that were gonna happen that we don't know yet.
Yes,
because like we can see things that we might like. We're like, oh well, this is gonna happen.
This might tie.
Yeah, but there's so many things we don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Anyway, and that is that. Goodbye.